I hadn't seen her in 3 years, and yet the moment she opened the door, it felt like gravity pulled a little harder in her direction. "Liam," she said, brows raised, a warm disbelief in her voice. "Look at you." "Hi, Mrs. Hart," I replied, but the name felt awkward in my mouth now. Too formal for the way she looked at me. Too distant for how my chest reacted seeing her again. She stepped aside to let me in, and I caught the faint scent of jasmine and something warmer, maybe cinnamon, trailing behind her. The house was mostly quiet, a slow jazz record murmuring from the corner. Sunlight spilled across the hardwood floor, catching dust in the air. Familiar. Still. "Evan's out grabbing pizza," she said, motioning toward the living room. "Said you were back in town for a while?" "Couple weeks. Thought I'd stop by." "You didn't stop by," she said, turning with the kind of smile that sees straight through you. "You came here first." I didn't know how to answer that. I looked down at the old rug I used to sprawl across during movie nights, back when I was a kid, and she was just Evan's mom. But something had shifted. Maybe in me, maybe in her. She sat on the couch and patted the cushion beside her. "You're taller," she said once I sat down. "Broader, too. You remember how tall I was?" She gave a soft laugh and leaned back. "I remember everything." I tried to smile, but something in her tone made my throat feel tight. I glanced at her, really looked. Her hair was pulled back loose, a few grays catching the light like threads of silver. There were faint lines around her mouth, her eyes, but they only deepened the warmth there. She wore a simple olive green sweater and jeans, barefoot, comfortable, beautiful in a way that didn't try. She turned slightly toward me, elbow on the back of the couch, legs crossed. Too close, but not close enough to move away from. "So," she said softly, "what are you doing now?" "Trying to figure things out," I said, which was only half a lie. "Freelance stuff? Bit of writing. Some design work." She nodded slowly, her gaze lingering on my jaw. "I always knew you'd end up doing something artistic. You used to draw for hours at that table." Her finger pointed toward the corner of the room, even when no one was paying attention. My chest tightened. I didn't remember anyone noticing that back then. We sat like that for a minute. Two. The silence between us wasn't awkward, just thick. The kind that made you hyper-aware of how close her knee was to yours. "You've grown up," she said suddenly, barely above a whisper. Her voice was low, a little husky, like she wasn't just talking about height. I turned to her, slower than I meant to, unsure what I was looking for. But her eyes didn't flick away. They held. They lingered. I never finished the sentence. Because at that exact moment, the front door creaked. Not a knock. Not a bell. Just opened. Both of us froze. Footsteps. Then her voice, just above a whisper again. Only this time, uncertain. "That's not Evan. It was just a delivery guy. Wrong house." He apologized, backed away, and the moment passed. But something between us didn't settle back into place after that. She rose from the couch and disappeared into the kitchen, pretending to check on drinks. I stayed where I was, staring at the faint indentation where her knee had touched mine. I should have left. Told her I'd come back when Evan was home. But I didn't. Instead, I watched her through the archway, the way she paused, one hand resting on the countertop, shoulders tense like she was having a quiet conversation with herself. "You okay?" I asked, standing. She didn't turn around. "You surprised me, that's all." "I didn't mean to." "I know," she said. Then finally, she turned. Her eyes softened again. "It's just strange seeing you like this." "Like what?" "Like a man." I didn't know what to say. Every reply felt too eager or too careful. I took the glass of water she offered instead, our fingers brushing. A small thing, but I felt it everywhere. We sat again, this time with a little more space between us. Not much, but enough to pretend we were still playing by the rules. "I saw your ex-husband a few years ago," I said, immediately regretting how it sounded. She huffed a dry laugh. "So did I. Divorce was final by then. Evan was still in college." "Did it end badly?" She shrugged. "No, just quietly. Like a room you stop going into." Something about that hit harder than I expected. I nodded, looking down into my water like it might say something back. And you? She asked. Any broken hearts in your history yet? Yeah, a couple. Nothing that stuck. I hesitated. I think I kept choosing people who didn't really see me. Not in the way I needed. Her eyes flicked to mine, and something softened behind them. I always saw you, she said, like it wasn't even a question. And there it was again, that quiet intimacy she dropped so easily, like she wasn't even aware of it. Or maybe she was. Maybe that was the problem. I looked away, but I could feel her watching me. The air between us stretched thin again, like something waiting to snap. You know this is, I started, but couldn't finish the sentence. I do, she said quietly. I caught my reflection in the window across from us. Her silhouette beside mine. Two people pretending there was nothing between them except a sofa cushion and an old friendship. Then she reached out, just slightly, and brushed a bit of lint from my sleeve. Her fingers lingered a second too long. I used to do that when you were 15, she said with a quiet smile. You always showed up in wrinkled shirts. I laughed, but it caught in my throat. I remember, I said. Her hand dropped, but the warmth of it stayed. We didn't say anything else. But neither of us moved away. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway snapped us both upright. Evan, she said under her breath, already halfway to the window. He's early. My stomach dropped. I stood, too fast, nearly knocking the glass off the coffee table. She turned and looked at me, not panicked, just conflicted. I should go, I said, but I didn't move. Her eyes flicked toward the front door, then back to me. Stay? Just act normal. Right. Normal. I sat back down just as the door opened, and Evan stepped in, grinning with a pizza box in one hand and earbuds hanging around his neck. Yo, Liam, man, you made it. He dropped the box on the kitchen counter and came over for a quick half hug. His mom had already retreated to the kitchen, her back turned again, busying herself with plates. Damn, it's been forever, Evan said. You good? Yeah, I lied. Good to be back. He glanced toward the kitchen. She make you tea or something? She always does that with people she likes. My heart caught on that word. Likes, like it meant more than he intended. Water, I said. But yeah, we all ate together in the living room. The three of us. Like old times. Only it wasn't. Her knee brushed mine once under the table and didn't move. Her hand touched mine while reaching for a napkin and didn't flinch. Every small contact was a signal, and I couldn't stop decoding them. Evan didn't notice. He was mid-story, laughing, recounting some bar disaster from last weekend. I nodded along, laughed in the right places. But I wasn't really there. She barely spoke. When she did, it was short, quiet, reserved. Like she was watching her own hands too closely. Eventually, Evan's phone buzzed. He groaned. Jules is stuck outside her apartment. I told her I'd help out. You mind if I bounce for a bit? I blinked. Oh, yeah, of course. He looked at his mom. You good? She nodded. Go. The moment he left, the silence fell like a blanket. I stood. Maybe I should go too. You don't have to, she said softly. But there was something behind her eyes now. Panic? Want? I took a step closer. She didn't move. Another step. She breathed in through her nose, steady but sharp. I don't know what this is, I said. But it doesn't feel casual. She looked up. It's not. I think about you. I shouldn't. But I do. She closed her eyes for a beat too long. You think I don't? We were too close. Her breath on my chest. My hand almost reached for hers, but I caught myself. I pulled it back. She saw it. Then, the front door creaked again. Both our heads turned. Footsteps. Only this time, they were lighter. Not Evan. Not a man. And then a voice. Quiet. Curious. Female. Mom. Mom. Her daughter. I didn't even know she had one. She must have arrived through the side gate, the one no one used. The girl looked 19, maybe 20. Brown curls pulled into a lazy bun. She blinked when she saw me. Oh, sorry, didn't know someone was here. Her mother, Jenna, cleared her throat. It's fine. Liam's an old friend of Evan's. The girl gave a half smile. then wandered off upstairs, already pulling out her phone. The moment her footsteps disappeared, I turned to Jenna. I should really leave this time. She nodded but didn't speak. Her hands were pressed flat on the counter like she needed grounding. I reached for my jacket, halfway into the motion, when her voice caught me. Do you think I'm pathetic? I froze. What? This? She gestured between us, not looking at me. A woman my age, getting lost in something that can't go anywhere. You think this is nothing? I asked, voice sharper than I meant. She didn't answer. I stepped closer. Because I've tried, Jenna. I've tried ignoring it. I even told myself it was some stupid, unresolved fantasy from when I was younger. But it's not that. Not anymore. Her eyes met mine, and I saw it, the storm behind them. Years of restraint, of holding everything too tightly, finally cracking open. You're Evan's friend, she said. I'm his mother. Do you know what that would do to him? Do you know what this is doing to me? I shot back. Every time I leave, I want to come right back. I see you in everything. I hear you in my head, and I don't know how to turn it off. She stepped back, like the words physically hit her. I should have stopped, but I didn't. I was nothing in this town, Jenna. Just some quiet kid who spent more time drawing than speaking. You were the first person who saw me. And now that I've finally become someone, I can't stand that the one person who still makes me feel like I matter is the one person I can't have. Silence. She exhaled, shaky, uneven, and leaned against the wall, like her knees might give out. I never meant for this, she whispered. You were supposed to grow up and forget me. I didn't. We stood there, breathing, failing to look away. She reached up, slowly, and touched the side of my face with trembling fingers. Her thumb brushed the edge of my jaw. My hand closed around hers instinctively. She didn't pull away. I dreamt about this, she said, and I hated myself every time. Our faces were inches apart. She leaned in just slightly, just enough for the air to change between us. But before our lips could meet, a phone rang. Loud, shrill. The sound shattered everything. We both flinched. It was hers. She glanced at the screen. It's Evan, she said. Her voice broke on his name. She didn't answer the call, just stared at Evan's name, screen glowing in her hand like it was burning her from the inside out. Then she silenced it. I stepped back, pulse hammering in my ears. Whatever was about to happen, it couldn't. Not now. Not like this. I should really. You need to hear something, she cut in. Before any of this goes further. She turned, walked toward the hallway closet, and opened a drawer I never knew was there. Pulled out a folded piece of paper, yellowed slightly at the corners. I wasn't honest, she said, holding it out. I didn't take it at first. About what? About why I remembered everything about you. Why you mattered to me even then. Her voice cracked, the words fragile like they'd waited years to be spoken. I wrote you a letter when you graduated high school, she said. A stupid, selfish letter I never sent. I told you how proud I was. How I used to look forward to your visits more than I should have. That I felt something I didn't understand. Something I buried. For your sake. For Evan's. I took the paper from her hand. It was creased, worn, like it had been read and reread too many times. You kept it, I said, voice barely there. I kept it because it was real, even if I never let myself act on it. I unfolded it slowly, but the words blurred. I couldn't bring myself to read it. Not yet. But there's more, she added, softer now. Evan, he knows. I looked up, stunned. What? She nodded, eyes full of shame. Not everything. But he saw the way I looked at you. Once. Maybe twice. And last month, he asked me point blank if something was going on. I said no. I swore it. My stomach dropped. He wouldn't say anything. I whispered. He wouldn't. But that's not the point, she said. He's not stupid. And if anything else happens between us, it won't be something we can hide. Not anymore. Silence stretched again, but this time it wasn't quiet. It was heavy, cracking at the edges. I can't be the reason he hates you, she said, finally meeting my eyes. Or me. I folded the letter again, carefully. And what if I don't care? I asked. She blinked. Liam, No, I mean it. What if I'm tired of worrying about everyone else's comfort but my own? What if I'm okay being the villain, just once, if it means not living with this constant ache? She stared at me like she didn't recognize the version of me standing in front of her now. Then, from upstairs, the sound of footsteps. Fast. Coming down. Evan's voice echoed out. Hey, Mom, can we talk? Her face went pale. And then I knew. He'd heard something. Maybe all of it. Evan stood halfway down the stairs, one hand on the railing, his eyes locked on me. Is it true? His voice wasn't loud. He didn't need it to be. It was flat, stunned. The kind of voice people use when something doesn't fit in their world anymore. Jenna turned, lips parting like she wanted to lie again. But this time, she didn't even try. Evan, she said softly, please sit down. But he didn't move. Neither did I. I heard you, he said. I heard everything. Silence. Just the hum of the refrigerator. The weight of three people realizing they'd stepped into something that couldn't be undone. Evan, I said, stepping forward, it wasn't planned. It was never supposed to be like this. Oh, spare me, he snapped. You were at my house. With my mother. While I was out getting pizza. Jenna winced. He didn't know what he felt. Yes, I did. I interrupted. And so did you. We both knew. We just didn't know what to do with it. Evan shook his head, laughter breaking through his shock, bitter and sharp. Wow. You know, I always thought it was weird how close you two were. The way she talked about you. The way you looked at her. But I told myself I was just being paranoid. His eyes flicked to his mother, full of something wounded and betrayed and unfamiliar. And you. Jesus, Mom. He was just a kid when you met him. I know, she whispered. Believe me, I know. But that didn't stop you. She didn't answer. I didn't come back to steal anything from you, I said. But I'm not going to pretend anymore either. Evan stared at me for a long time, then gave the smallest nod, like he understood something he didn't want to. You have no idea what this does to me, he said. To us. I do, Jenna said. And I hate that I let it get this far. He took a deep breath, then stepped back up the stairs without another word. We listened to his door close. Then nothing. I sat down slowly. Jenna didn't move. I ruined it, she whispered. No, I said. We did this together. And maybe it's awful. Maybe it's wrong. But it wasn't fake. She sat beside me, eyes shining. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe we don't, I said. Maybe it's not something we fix. Maybe it's just something we carry. A long silence. Then she reached out and took my hand. I can live with guilt, she said. But not with pretending this never happened. I squeezed her hand back. And for the first time since I walked through her door, neither of us flinched. There was no apology. No neat bow. Just the raw, honest weight of everything laid bare. And somewhere inside that mess, something like love kept breathing. It's been 3 weeks. Evan hasn't called me back. He read my message, the long one I rewrote 6 times, but didn't respond. I don't blame him. I wouldn't know what to say either if our roles were reversed. Sometimes silence is its own kind of answer. I haven't been back to the house since that night. But Jenna and I, we didn't end it there. We met again. Quietly. No wine. No candles. No pretending it wasn't complicated. Just 2 people trying to figure out what happens after the damage is done. We talked for hours at a cafe out of town. She wore sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. I think it helped her feel invisible. Safe. I don't want to hurt anyone else, she said. But I also don't want to vanish just because it's easier. Neither do I. So we're trying. Slowly. Carefully. With honesty, even when it stings. She's giving Evan space. I'm giving him time. That's all we can do. But here's the part no one tells you about love when it shows up where it's not supposed to. It doesn't care about permission. It just keeps unfolding in the background, in stolen glances, in text messages that say too little and mean too much, in quiet nights where you replay a voice in your head just to fall asleep. I never imagined falling for someone like Jenna, and I'm sure she never imagined falling back. But it happened, and it's real. I'm not calling it perfect. It's not. It never was. But it's ours, raw and flawed and human. And maybe that's enough. I pass by Evan's street sometimes, but I don't stop. Not yet. I'll wait until he's ready. Or until he tells me he won't be. Either way, I'll respect it. Jenna asked me once, in the middle of a long pause, if this all goes wrong, will you hate me for it? I said no. But the truth is deeper than that. I won't regret it. Not one moment. Not one look. Not even the silence after. Because some people come into your life like a secret you've always known but never spoken aloud. And when they finally sit close, whisper something only meant for you, the world shifts. And you realize it was never about right or wrong. It was about finally feeling seen. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?